This is super exciting. My name is Julie Wilson. I'm the executive director of Beauty United, a nonprofit in the beauty space, helping to make the beauty industry a more diverse and inclusive place. I am also the beauty editor at large at Cosmopolitan magazine, where I also write a lot about diversity and inclusion. So I am extra honored and happy to be having this conversation with you amazing folks for this audience, to really talk about being Black folk in this industry and the way that you are showing up. And so I thank you all for being here. Quickly, I am going to do a few intros so that you guys know who is joining us today, although I'm sure you saw the flyer and got really excited, and that is why you're here. But first off, I want to welcome Lillette Littlejohn, who is a renowned makeup artist with over 30 years of experience. Just truly a gem in this industry, has worked with so many folks, and has been honored in so many ways, and love that she is here with us today. We also have Matiki Anoff. Yes, thank you so much for being here, Lillette. Matiki Anoff, who is also a highly accomplished makeup designer for major motion pictures, was born in Ghana and raised in the UK, brings like such an amazing international perspective to this conversation, and has been nominated for an Emmy 3 times over. So happy to have Matiki here. Next up, we have Morris Aberdeen, aka Mr. Roots. He is the founder of Morris Roots Salons and has been an amazing, renowned optician for the past 15 years, and opened up his first salon in 2001 on High Street. So again, hailing from the UK, super excited to have you here, Morris. And then next we have Camille Friend, who is an amazing makeup artist and hairstylist, has worked with so many dope celebrities. I'm getting truncated, I told this to the group before, I'm getting truncated bios because their receipts are long and strong, and we will get into those receipts as we talk, but just wanted to give you just like a little bit of who they are. But Camille, amazing, renowned, has worked on some major blockbuster films: The Hunger Games, Guardians of the Galaxy, Captain America, Civil War, all of these things. So super excited to have Camille here. And speaking of blockbusters, last but not least, we have Ruth Carter, who is a 2-time Academy Award winning costume designer, and just such a real treasure to have in this industry, and taking up space in the way that she does. So that is our panel, and I'm really excited to jump in and start talking to you guys. Look, there's so many of you. And all of these questions you guys really could dive deep into, but if there is a question that you feel very strongly about, please mute yourself and just jump in. I will have pointed questions for a few of you, but like, let's make this like really comfortable, casual conversation about, you know, what's happening in the industry and how you guys are taking up space. So I'm going to throw that first question actually to all of you, is how are you guys taking up space in this industry as Black people? I think that's a lofty question, but that's also one that you can be specific about, in a sense of like how you have shown up in the different projects that you've worked for. How do you feel as though you are taking up space as someone of color in Hollywood, in this international space of art when it comes to you know, motion pictures? Ruth, I see you, girl. You're wearing the yellow. I'm just gonna go to you first. So how do you feel? I mean, you got 2 Oscars, but how do you feel about taking up space in this industry? Is it comfortable? Do you feel like you are established now and have the respect, or is it still a fight for you? Or how are you feeling?
This is a very big industry, and it's multi-tiered, multi-layered. I think, my origin story was about representation. Matiki and I was working at 40 Acres and a Mule with Spike Lee, and there was not enough representation behind the camera, and what was in front of the camera, we felt didn't reflect the diversity, the expansion, everything that we saw in our neighborhood was not being portrayed on camera. So the space that we started out taking up was to promote representation with internships at 40 Acres. Coming out of internships myself and coming out of theater, we kind of knew that space, but the opportunities to do work in the film industry were slim. I could count the amount of costume designers on one hand. And but having someone like Spike Lee at the helm for us in the beginning, I'm going to speak for Matiki real quick, but she could speak for herself. There was no representation, right, Matiki? And they didn't even have makeup in brown tones. So let's talk about taking up space. We were about recognizing that there is a space. And we stepped into that space in the late 80s, early 90s. And I think that the burgeoning of Black filmmakers during that time, I came out to LA and I'd work with Robert Townsend and Keenan Ivory Wayans with Lillette.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
I mean, I love that there is that family aspect of this, right? And the fact that you bring up working for in the Black space of Hollywood, right? Before I came to in the independent space.
Where we were about taking up space.
Absolutely.
And you could take up that space with confidence, right? Before I came to Cosmo, I was the global beauty director at Essence. So taking up space in Black universes is different than taking up spaces in white universes, right? That are dominated by white stories and white leadership. So the fact that you guys all had that foundation of telling our stories amongst ourselves and then going into a space.
We weren't in Black space. We were in entertainment industry space.
Yes,
for sure. But with Black directors. Right. But with Black directors and people that
we were working for studios on independent films.
Yeah.
They were being produced for the mass, everybody. We're talking about representation. We're talking about taking up space where we did not see representation. We weren't talking about showing representation within our community. We knew our community. We were talking about taking up space in the global community.
Wider community.
Right. I guess what I'm trying to say is, or get to, and please correct me if I'm wrong, this is new, and I'm learning that having a Spike Lee, right? Having those people advocating and telling Black stories, even in Hollywood and trying to make the monies, did you feel more secure, supported, respected because you were telling Black stories and there was a Black director and that sort of thing? And compared to working for a white director and telling white stories, I'm trying to, I guess, get the difference, if there is one at all. Maybe there isn't.
Why do you want to know the difference?
I guess for me as a storyteller and a journalist, I'm trying to understand whether a needle has been moved, right? Has there been any shift in how we are able as creatives?
Well,
from us going to Black to white, or just being Black people in this space and creatives in this space, is there a difference in those two experiences, or how has it changed over time?
No, because we changed the experience. We changed the experience. I'm gonna stop talking and let y'all talk.
Yeah, jump in if you have ideas.
I think we changed the experience. That's what this panel is all about.
I would agree with you, Ruth. I think more than anything, yes, Spike was incredible. He was resistant. He fought everybody, the unions, from the Teamsters, right, Ruth, to everybody to insist on Black people. But Spike was one person. When you finished working with Spike, you had your other world where I couldn't be a department head. I'd be an assistant or doing background. So yes, you could shine in that world, but it was a very, very, very small world at that time. And it took really a long time for that world to expand. But without doubt, hats off to Spike. He was a complete and utter pioneer. And with threats from all type of Teamsters and in every aspect, you know, but Spike was unique. Not everybody else had that gumption and had that force. So it was a really, really different world. Yes, we could shine in that maybe one movie every other year, but I'll speak for myself. At the rest of the time, that wasn't my experience. I was a very small fish in a very big pond.
I mean, after I got
I think that's why
nominated for Malcolm X, that's when the doors of Hollywood started to take notice. And I worked with Ron Shelton. I did white movies. I did Seinfeld. You know, I did Teen Beach Movie for Disney. You know, I was never anything other than a costume designer, but it wasn't until I received a nomination did I think, oh, Hollywood was like, oh, what? You know, but
yeah,
by
I
the
mean,
time I did Malcolm X, I was 10 movies in.
Yes.
And this is what I'm saying. Like, I'm trying to get at that, like, what is the difference and are we in a better place? So like, I would love to also hear from Lillette and Camille as far as how you're taking up space now. Do you feel as though, and Morris, if you feel as though you're getting the type of, I guess, leadership roles or if your voice is being heard in more ways now than they did in the past?
Wow. I feel as though it has changed a little. And because of Ruth getting her nominations and all of that, that's helped everybody. They look at us more and they appreciate us more. But I think we're still almost in the same type of predicament. It hasn't, you must, it's still that question mark with them. Can they do it? What else have you done? Can they do it? And I get asked questions to this very day. Can you do white people? What?
Wow.
What? What is that?
Yeah.
So we're still proving ourselves. We are still proving. Yes.
Do you feel the same way, Camille and Morris? Oh, sorry, Lillette. No, thank you for sharing that, because I think, I do think, you know, Ruth's success obviously gets maybe a conversation or a meeting or in the door. I think that has helped, but like to your point, for them to then question your talent and your resume is a whole nother layer that you have to get through after you get into the door.
No, I just want to say, every movie you're proving yourself. Like every movie is like the first time. You're always proving yourself. And it's not until we bring box office dollars, like a Black Panther. We have Ruth Carter, who's gotten 2 nominations, that they say, oh, Black people are popular, or we can put butts in the seats. Because that's, Hollywood cares about money. That's what they care about. And we still have a long, long way to go. I want to see, like, we don't have 100 Black hair and makeup department heads doing $100 million movies. We don't have that. We have 1, 2, 3, maybe a couple, because they let a few of us in. But how about the rest of us? Like, we don't get those same opportunities. You're not getting calls to do certain movies, because even with the big resume, I'm still not getting calls for certain movies because we just don't get the opportunities. So it is getting better because you can put us in different spaces, because right now there's so much content. So they need people to be in different spaces, or they want to check the box, but it doesn't make it correct.
Yes, I agree. Would love to hear from you, Morris. We haven't heard your voice yet. Sorry, Matiki. But would just love to hear your perspective as well, especially being someone who works with locks. I have an 8-year-old with locks, so I'm on that journey with him. But that is also with the prominence of the Crown Act right now happening and all of that. And we have a Little Mermaid on screen right now with locks. I do think it's interesting that you intersect with the industry in a very unique way. So would love to hear your perspective.
Yeah, I'm grateful to be here amongst, the greatest. I feel honored that you all have paved the way somewhat to create a sort of definite pathway. I think in the UK is a bit different as well, because there isn't a clear distinction how to access that infrastructure, because obviously, there's a network that if you're not part of that network, you don't get to be part of the story, the film story. But I'm a specialist. I come in, as a loctician. So I've seen misrepresentation taking place by me just looking in. I've had 4 salons for over 23 years. And I work a lot with artists, and I would work with actors separately, and they would be the one to bring me in. But to get that access in, I think there's a prevention of true skills, raw skills, and innovation when you are not part of a network or when you are not part of an infrastructure. I think here in the UK, I can speak for here because I've not worked much in the US, and I had to sort of made myself present by the skills that I come with and not be sidelined by handing over what I know to a department head and then not credited for the work that I am bringing in. So I think what needs to kind of be addressed, I think, is for that representation to take place, where innovation is defined, where the pathway is defined, where the heads can understand who are coming in and what they are bringing when they come, without they being erased when they come through.
Yeah.
So the 100 or 2 or 300 million that you are spending, on a film is not wasted on sort of like insufficient skills, where you've got the rawness that's there, but you don't access it. You don't access it because of fear and other reasons. I've seen work done, and it's sad because you've got so much of talent that's lying around, and all what needs to happen is you just need to allow the access in, and the representation for the people who are on the screen, be it Black, to get that sense of feeling that, yeah, I've got somebody who can know how I feel, because they themselves know how they feel when they look into the mirror. So I think for me, I've been lucky because I've worked in my own industry with my salon. So when I'm coming in as a specialist. I'm not coming in, as a department head or a daily or whatever. If I do come, I would become, because I build wigs by myself. I build lock wigs and natural hair wigs, which looks seamless because I've got to represent, the human, and that mimics that.
That's wonderful. Sort of like becoming the beauty standard, I think, is us defining the standard. And when they, just as Morris has said, you step into worlds that are not represented properly, and you see what's askew, and it's something that completely is in his lane. He has a niche that flung a door open because they don't know it, or or this job needs him, and he has to go in and be the expert, and therefore that raises the bar and sets the standard even within all areas. Doesn't black, white, yellow, if you have that in your storytelling, you have to bring in the experts, which creates the standard. So I don't look at it as there's an outside standard that I'm aspiring to. I look at it like I am the standard that all should embrace. We should all embrace this universal standard.
Do you all feel as though there are still specific stereotypes or tropes that persist that you're asked to replicate, to illustrate on screen that you don't feel comfortable with, or you've had to check people in the past? Have they asked you to put locks on a white person and you're just like, this ain't it? Let me see the script. Like, why? For sure, but like I'm saying in either in stereotypical ways, like, are you putting the locks on the white people and the script, they are somehow degrading Black people? Like, I don't know how involved in your space you all are when you go into work on a film and they say, we want this look. Is there a specific stereotype or tropes that still persist that you aren't comfortable with, or that you are able to bring your own lens through and can shift in a certain way?
I'm not comfortable with someone asking me to change the color and tone of a skin tone. So the darker they are sitting next to a lighter person, I want someone who knows how to put those lights on everyone to make them look beautiful. I don't want the darker skin to disappear. I don't want anyone to, can you lighten that person? I've gotten that a lot. Can you lighten them up a little bit, Lalette? They're too dark. I'm like, what? No, put the light on them, figure it out. Have somebody in there who knows how to light. Maybe they don't know how to light Black people.
And
have
what I
someone
do
there who knows how.
In support of Lalette's, saying, I'm not going to change this person's tone. If they're dark and they are, look beautiful, I will put a color on them that, because, any color, whether it's lights or the color you're wearing, becomes a light, a reflection. So, if they're dark, I might give them a brighter shirt or something that will reflect beautiful tones onto their skin. So I guess we just, we figure it out.
No, I was just thinking, to a degree that there's still a lot of nonsense. I just really recently finished a feature, and a very big star, white star, and a new up and coming, not so much in the UK, but here, a new star. And he's very dark, he's actually Ghanaian, and the actress was very white. And they had no light on this guy. When they were in a scene together, you completely couldn't see him. So I went to the producers, who I work with quite frequently and have done white producers, but they do a lot of Black productions. And I was mystified. I was like, are you not seeing this? And they were like, oh. I said, we completely can't at all. Like, what is going on? And so then they called me later and they said, oh, they're going to have a big meeting later and discuss this and see what they can be. But the fact that they couldn't see with their naked eye, or the fact that the DP didn't think to give him a fill light, it was just incredible to me. But this is still existing, Fortunately, the majority of the time, work with great DPs, amazing ones, but sometimes they just don't get it. They just don't get it today.
Yeah. Anyone else want to jump in here? I would love to hear you as well, Camille. Has there ever been any times when you feel compromised, your art feels compromised, and someone's asked you to do something that you don't feel comfortable with. My mind as a beauty writer always goes to like cultural appropriation, right? Locks and cornrows and all those things aren't deemed fashionable or cool until they go down a runway on a white model or something like that, right? Is there that same type of thing within movies and television where, to your point, Ruth, yeah, white people have had locks, right? But what is the context in which you're giving this white person locks in this storyline, right? Are you getting into the nitty gritty of that? And have you ever felt compromised?
The movies I do, they know when they hire Camille Friend what they're getting. So when I design a movie, I'm coming in with, number one, the right team. Like I wouldn't be where I am now if I could not do Caucasian hair, Black hair, Latin hair, Asian hair. I wouldn't even be here. I would not even be on this panel because our requirements is much higher on what we should know. And then the other thing, speaking to what Morris said, this is what happens a lot of times in trailers. So let's say a Caucasian person gets the movie. Now they know they might not be able to do the number 2 actor or number 3 actor because they might be Black or Latino. So they hire somebody else to come in to do it. So they hire a Morris. But this is what the problem is. They bring in Morris, who is a specialist, but then he gets no credit. He gets no equity because he's not the department head. He's not the key. He's not even the third. So this is how the game goes around, around, and round. So I don't feel personally like I don't sacrifice myself because I'm very fortunate to work on movies. People hire me for my expertise. Like when I went to go do Little Mermaid, I got hired because they knew that I could transform her locks. And the people who were already there could not do that. So that's why they had to fly me across the pond to do that. So all these things in all these spaces, they count, but we still have, again, so much more to go in giving us, the equity and inclusion that we deserve in this business.
And to your point,
yeah, we have
about it being a business, it's a
Mhm.
business. And Morris, knowing that you are one of few, I would say when you're hired, you have to contractually put in your deal that you get credit.
Yes.
Point blank. And as a department head, I have seen the credits of my department all askewed. And, I try, but, it's something that has to do with post. So unless you have a contract that says I'm going to get credit, they have an option.
Right.
And that's what you're going to do to command that space.
100%.
Right. I was going to
Yeah.
say, how much power do you wield in that place, Morris, and everyone here? How much power can you wield in that space to say, I need this level of credit? And also to Camille's point, are you allowed to? I mean, I guess not allowed to isn't the right word. Have you felt empowered to speak up in ways to say, the bar is very high for me. I need to know how to do everyone's hair on this set. This person only has to know how to do this person's hair. Like, how can we level the playing fields in this way?
Well, I mean, for me, I command the power that is that of the work that I do, because nobody else that would have hired me can deal with it or can execute the way in which it would be executed. So my presence is my credit because of you calling on me after having 30 years experience in locks and natural hair. And if I was to design a wig with locks on it, you can bet yourself that you would be able to see that seamless on your actor or actress at the time. I'm coming in with love and humility, but respect. So the cultural appropriation, whether it's a white or Chinese or Japanese person, I can execute locks because it's hair I'm dealing with. I can deal with any hair. So whether you're a department head or not, or a head key supervisor, you should know and understand when you hire a loctician or specialist, the credit has to go to him or her, because you would not have hired him or her. So the contractual arrangements would start with a conversation with my PA, not about the credit, because I'm passionate about the work, but the end game always lies on the fact that, you know, you've got to credit this work for this individual, because without him or his team, you would not have been able to execute it in the time in which you can, because one, we also saving you money, because we would be able to execute something that you would not have been able to within the space and the way in which it would look on your actor or actress at the time. So I mean, in a nutshell, I present myself in a way where the conversation is clear. You've got to give the credit for the work as an artist, because I'm coming in as an artist.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Anyone else want to chime in on this?
I want to go back to Ruth's point. I just want to say the art of the deal is real. Like, you have to have certain things in your deal points. And part of it is what that credit. I have girls call me every month who've done projects who like, oh my God, I didn't get a credit. The credit and everything, every deal point needs to be in there. Just like you care about doing the hair or doing the makeup, every deal point, every line, you go through it. Boom, boom, boom. Because this is your contract between you and the production. And your credit is really, really important, because there were too many times I've got too many phone calls, too many people crying about they didn't get the credit on the movie. And a lot of times we come in, we do something and we don't get the credit. So all of those
Camille,
things,
where did you learn that?
The details.
Where did you learn that, right? Because I asked people like that type of confidence, and did you not get the credit too many times and you were like, hold up, what is this? Did someone teach you this? How do we make sure that this type of information and education is being disseminated?
Well, I think, as I came along, people taught me that. And honestly, at one point I had a very savvy agent, and having an agent taught me about too, how to get my money. So now I teach in my company, Hair Scholars. One of my classes is how to make your deal. Because if you know how to make your money, if you know what you're asking for, that gives you the power. That gives you your value.
Yeah, that was me trying to have you pitch your school, because I think it's amazing. And I think it is needed, right? We had a question in the Q&A box that I don't know about, and maybe you guys can shed some light on this. Someone says, can we talk about the Avatar Way of Water controversy? Does everyone on here know what that is?
No, I don't.
No.
Okay, I was like, I don't know what that is.
What
user, whoever, I don't know. I'm going to ask the person, whoever asked that question, if you know what that controversy is, let us know. Would love to hear what these thought leaders have to say about it, but we clearly don't know.
What is
it?
Is it? I'm not sure, but Avatar, the hairstyles in there were very Black people's hairstyles.
Yes, they were
on these avatars.
Well, so avatars are just kind of like the controversy around The Little Mermaid, right? They are fictional characters. So,
well, I mean,
I
can't say, but I think maybe that's what it might be, but don't hold me to that.
Okay.
So it might be something in that vein, but
I believe that's what it is also.
Okay.
Yeah. I was watching it yesterday.
The question.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I saw the hairstyles and I said, oh, they're supposed to be Black avatars. That's what I saw. And I was like, wow, okay. All right. So yes, they're very ethnic hairstyles, a lot of locks, braids. It's different. Avatar is definitely in that world of locks.
But do we feel like that's okay because they're fictional characters?
Yeah, the spiritual connotation around the whole movie would have suggested that it's of that sort of and the way how it was executed and the treatment that the people received. So it would suggest the storyline would suggest that it was a sort of Black ethnic type.
Was people of color. They're supposed
Yeah.
to be
Now
people of
now I
color.
have to see it.
I haven't seen
I
it.
know,
So
I
I
haven't
can't
seen it.
speak on it because I haven't seen it. So I can't speak on it.
Is there another question?
Okay. There was the we answered the other question, which was about making sure the industry is what it says. How do you feel about the prominent white makeup artists not having to learn to work with black hair and skin for years? You know, leveling the playing field. Why is our bar up here and everyone else's bar down here? Which I think is always like a good question to ask, and you guys, I think, sufficiently answered it. Someone just wrote in, as far as hair in the credit, it was given to other cultures. The artist didn't really pay attention to Black individuals, like at least pay credit to these people. So I guess it wasn't explicitly said, to your point, Morris, that these were people of color, and maybe they felt like there needed to be some type of credit given for that. That's a controversy.
When did you
So.
see a hair shift, Camille? Was it at the Black Panther? Did that make? I felt like Black Panther 1 introduced natural hair, but I might be wrong. When did you actually see a shift in the beauty standards towards African?
Actually, I totally agree with you. It was actually, I'll just say, for instance, so for Black Panther, the first Black Panther, you could not find any kind of hardly kinky hair with anything. Like you couldn't find anything. You couldn't find anything, you know, for A, B, or C. You're not, it wasn't out there. Now, when we did, I mean, we had to perm, we were just making all that hair texture because there wasn't a lot of hair that had the texture in it. But now, like when we went into Black Panther 2, man, there is for A, B, C hair everywhere. Every manufacturer has it. Everybody has it in, you know, in tape ins, in glue in sew ins, in wigs, and ponytails. I mean, there's a ton of hair texture because now the market is asking for it.
Yeah.
You have
Right,
the
'cause
whole
they saw
natural
it.
hair
Yeah.
movement.
Yeah.
People want
Yeah.
it. You know, you can go into any beauty supply and they're going to have something for you. You can even go into the grocery store or CVS and they have Black products in there now. So because there's been a cry, the manufacturers had to answer, but still, it still comes down to money because
and we have
Right.
I'm sorry.
no,
We
no,
have
it just
seen this like it's been in our lives. I remember I had braids. They had, you know, the big extensions, you know, in the 80s, but I think there was an acceptance of it
yes,
that took a long time.
yes. And I think, you know,
Yeah,
Afro punk helped bring that in, like all of those subcultures brought all those sort of things to the forefront. And when women said, you know, I'm going to wear my hair natural, things started changing. So it was inside of our culture that we had to love ourselves enough in order to change the space from the outside.
And the democratization of like social media and pushing our imagery out there and what we're liking and loving and representing our own beauty. Matiki, I would love to hear from you about whether you've seen the same thing, Ruth's question about representation with makeup, right? We, in the beauty industry, we call that the Fenty effect, right? We know there was Fashion Fair and Iman Cosmetics and all of that beforehand. They were before their time. Rihanna came in, kind of changed the game, right? And now everyone's talking about, oh, we have extended colors, we have colors that work for Black and brown skin. Have you seen more support there, more tools for your artistry? Is there more, are there more suggestions that you have as you work?
Yeah, many moons ago, I was a CoverGirl spokesperson, and Essence used to have a beauty breakfast for all Black brands. And I remember so well, on this particular panel, there was Iman, there was the guy who owned MAC before it was taken over, and there was Sam Fine, and I think a young lady from Misani. I'm sorry, Camille, I think, is it Misani?
Yeah, Misani.
And so what was fascinating, I was on my my group, the cover girl, I would tell them every year, your colors are wrong. Every year I thought I was going to get fired because I tell them this color is crazy. It doesn't match anything. When I would have to do like a session with all the beauty editors, I would have to use my own makeup because the cover girl makeup was the incorrect shade. Anyway,
Wow.
this beauty breakfast, and I remember the guy from MAC stood up and said, all other brands who have makeup and then you put a few black colors on the end are really doing a misservice, not to the consumer, but to yourselves in terms of profits. He said, at MAC, we believe everybody is serviced, everybody should be able to find their own color. And we do that effectively. But way before, not to take anything from Rihanna, but MAC always had an extensive line and we could find our color. And
Right.
I think will agree with that.
Oh, I agree totally. Yeah.
Definitely MAC and like Makeup Forever had a pretty extensive.
Yeah. Well,
But
that even came after MAC.
That came after.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
So anyway, it was fascinating. So the guy stands up and he says, yeah. So he goes, I just want to tell you one statistic. He said, our flagship store is in New York, Prince Street, and it's our #1 selling store globally for profits for MAC. He said our second global selling store is on 125th Street.
Whoa.
Everybody, at the tables, there were everybody, Estee Lauder, Maybelline, blah, blah, blah. Everybody like gasped. Like when they realized, and back to what you said, Camille, it's about money. It's about money. When my team, who I'd been telling for 3 years, your stuff suck, and this is not right, turned to me and were like, oh, Matiki, can you come and design a line for us? Oh, they sent me here and there. But everybody said the same. Not, I don't want to monopolize this, but then I'm just going to tell you what Iman said.
This is great.
Iman came up and said she totally agrees. When she was the first woman to have a black makeup line in a department store in, I think, JCPenney's. And she was saying that she's at the big board meeting and they're signing the $1 million contract and everybody's there and blah, blah, blah. And this is so wonderful. And then one CEO stands up and says, oh, but Iman, just to let you know that we're not going to carry the 4 darkest shades. And she said, well, like what? They said, yeah, our customer doesn't need those shades. So she said it got so contentious back and forth to where millions of dollars was on the line because she was ready to walk. And then she said, okay, let me tell you something. You buy the whole line and whatever you don't sell, I'll buy back. And they said,
it's amazing.
And they said, oh, okay. And of course, the 4 darkest shades were the highest selling.
I was hoping you would have said, you buy the whole line and I'll buy those 3 dark shades.
Right. Like, I'll just buy it. No, but it's great that she showed there is an audience, right? I consult with a lot of beauty brands and I always say to them, like, y'all don't like making money. I'm convinced. Like, you just don't. I didn't go to business school, but like, y'all don't like making money. There are you let black people walk around with whole hairstyles, braids, locks, all these beautiful protective styles and have not one product to help them achieve or maintain that. You would never let a white woman walk around with a whole hairstyle without giving her a 50, 100 million products. There are we put scarves and bonnets in our heads. Where are those? Like, they are so blind to what they don't see. They only see what's reflected in the mirror.
I think this also speaks to our own entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
Stop waiting for people to create
yes.
a line of something, get the license, do the work, invest in yourself. And
for sure. But Ruth, let's talk about this.
And
Let's
they
talk
don't
about
understand
the money, right?
undertones.
Oh, yeah.
They don't understand undertones.
The nuance.
And that's why the white lines and everything, they could come out with all these different tones and the browns and such, but there's no undertones. We have tons of undertones. So why can't we have, that's why MAC does well. It has undertones. That's why Rihanna's makeup does well. Undertones, Iman's undertones. There's no undertones in the lot. CoverGirl has gotten better. You know, everyone's getting better because they're seeing what is sold and what people need. But if you're coming out there with no undertones, everybody's gonna walk around looking like Ash. So
right.
This is what
the nuance of it is very important.
So they
Matiki,
need a person, they need people, us, Black women, Black men, to go in and explain to them, we have undertones, and this is what we need. They're getting the wrong people to formulate. They're getting, it's all about that.
But this is, Matiki, you go, and then I got to get back to the money trail, because for all intents purposes, y'all with your resumes and what you do, y'all should be filthy rich, but we're going to talk about this in a second.
No.
You're right.
The follow-up, I had the honor of making up Pat McGrath one time because
love her stuff, love it.
After the CoverGirl situation, they grabbed Pat, of course, to be the global director. So when I'm making up Pat, blah, 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 and I was like, oh, why did you do the Armani group? And she said, well, you know what, Matiki, she said, one day they came and they said to me, we're discontinuing the Black colors. And she said, oh, really? And they said, yes. And she said, why? They're not selling. She goes, no, Black folk have money. You're not advertising in the right place. That's the problem. They said, no, they're getting rid of them. So she said that she was so grateful to get out of that. And she said to them, I don't think I can design for a company where I can't find my own shade. And she left that group, and Procter & Gamble, CoverGirl grabbed her, and that's when the Queen collection and all of that started. So anyway.
But look, Pat McGrath has $1 billion company. $1 billion.
And they need her for all skin types. They need her for all beauty. And so that spoke volumes when she took that stance.
Absolutely.
I love that you said that, Ruth, too, because she is so respected for doing everyone's makeup. They have not pigeonholed her. And that has also allowed her to be a billionaire right now. Like, she has $1 billion company. I want to talk to y'all about how you are wielding your power and your talent and what that looks like monetarily, right? Like, are you getting approached with really thoughtful collaborations or projects? Are you getting approached to, fund your school, fund products, be entrepreneurs, or getting collaborations that feel good to you and respect the space that you've taken up? I just think it's also important around the conversation around generational wealth and being Black people in this world and wielding that power and that talent and how that is kind of being transactioned. So I would love to hear how you guys are moving in that space, monetizing your magic. Anyone?
Okay, I'll start.
You're the wizard over there. Come on, Ruth. Bring it in.
No. Like,
let's talk about
how are you monetizing your magic? You got 2 Oscars. Let's go.
Let's talk about your book.
Everybody wants me to be a fashion designer, and that's not who I am. I am a costume designer. And so I've had a pop-up with H&M, and I'm being talked to about collaborations, like who is my ultimate collaboration? Yeah, it's with, Guillermo del Toro on one of his films. That's my ultimate collaboration. It's not with
I
Chloe.
love Guillermo.
I'm sorry. I'm not a fashion designer. I feel like I'm lost in that space. I mean, my platform is education, and Afrofuture is the space that I've been in, and I'm enjoying that. Our journey, our collective journey, is a testament to artistic point of view and monetizing is less of the focus as sharing, right? Because when you share,
which is fine. It
your
doesn't
truth,
always have to be
when
about
you
money.
share your truth, your money will follow. So I believe that what Camille is sharing with Hair Scholars is important for the culture. I believe what
Yes.
we are doing is for intention. And so, yeah, I do have a book, and it talks about my journey. If that inspires someone, that's the reason why it's done. And we will work as professionals in our field, but we're not waiting for a paycheck. I say all the time to costume designers that you have an opportunity to license with the studio when you get on a picture to create the costume for the doll in the film and get some monetization when the doll is released by Mattel. Go to Mattel yourself ahead of time and say, hey, I'm going to be doing some great things. Fold me in. I'm not sure how that part of it works because it's also very new to me and my space. I'm just trying to command the space that's more authentic to who I am.
I love that. I love that. And again,
I agree.
monetizing your magic doesn't always mean like money, like just like dripping in money. It can mean like showing up in different spaces. I guess I'm most wanting to make sure that people feel like they're getting paid their worth, are showing up in spaces that they and being appreciated and respected in those ways as well.
And I
But
think
money
for
helps.
them, the beauty products that they represent are needed. There's just a big need to have these beauty products available, and they're the ones that understand it best, because they are, creating these beautiful faces and hairstyles every day that they're on set.
No, I agree with Ruth. And I'll tell you one thing, I get like companies hit me up and they're like, we looked at your Instagram and you really don't do a lot of hair, like, a twist out or this, that, the other. I says, I'm the wrong person for you. I says, my proof is on the screen. That's what I do. I am a hair designer. So I do movies. So if you want me to just do a twist out or something like that for you, I don't have a problem with that, but that's not what I do. What I do, the magic is on the screen. So if that's what I'm looking for. And I'm always looking for collaborations that work for me because I'm not a Kim Kardashian. I'm not putting my name to everything. If Camille Friend says she likes something, it should be because I like it. I like what that company stands for. I like their integrity and I like their morals. And the other thing is for me now, they have to support Hair Scholars. So the people that I do collaborations with, they have to support Hair Scholars in what I'm doing in that. They have, because it has to support the students. It has to support education, and it has to make sure that we're making this business better, because I have to say it's an inside job. All of us who were on this panel, it's from the inside job. Like I've known Matiki for 20 some years. And when she was at CoverGirl, she was fighting the good fight when nobody would have said anything. She was saying things and putting it out there. I remember Matiki, I think she might be the first one to turn me on to Mac C7. I'm just saying, Matiki from back in the day where many people wouldn't speak up. And for us on this panel, we do speak up, but many people back in those days wouldn't have said anything because they were happy to have the contract. And you can't ask for change and be in the back seat. You have to put yourself in the front seat and be the driver of this.
Yes, Matiki has always been a soldier. I just remember hearing her talking about, I had to put all that red underneath this thing, and then I hit it with some yellow, and then I had to go in again with a little green just to neutralize it. And I was like, what is she talking about?
Because she knows that
color theory is a real thing, and a lot of people don't know it. If you know it, you know it. And like, that is amazing.
And not only has Matiki, she's always been giving to other artists. She's been given to me as other artists. I've seen her in the makeup trailer, giving information and helping people along the way. And that's what we all do. Because if we're on this level, it is our job to put our hand out and lift people up. Because if I'm not teaching you how to put on a wig, you think you might know how to put on a wig on Instagram. But how do you put a wig when Angela Bassett's is sitting in the trailer? That's a whole different ball game, baby. how to design a wig when you're designing a wig through a custom wig maker, a ventilator. Are you going to tell her how to put those knots in so that hair can go up, down, left, or right? This is all things that are specific to this business. And if you don't know these things, this is why I do hair scholars, because people need the information to grow their careers. You got to grow it this way with your information, and then you grow it up in your equity.
True.
Ooh, go on, Camille. Go on, girl.
Preach.
Go ahead,
Preach,
preach,
Camille.
girl.
We all need to go to your school. We all need to go to your school stat. But you bring up really something amazing. I love that. This is why we're having this conversation. I love having this conversation with y'all. So you're also passionate and outspoken about this. And this is how we drive change, right? Talk a little bit about, and you've talked a little bit about this right now, is like mentorship, right? Like how obviously you all know each other, you've come up in the industry together. Are there people or are there ways in which you've been mentored that you would like to share that can help folks on this call? Literally, one of the questions in here was, I'm a young filmmaker. I'm a young Black woman filmmaker. My name is Dovely King. Does the panel have any advice for me in the future, right? And we know that that is a big, lofty, open-ended question, but we also know that mentorship is real. You don't have to have like a mentor specifically, but if you do, tell us what they've imparted on you. But just pouring in through schools or just having these type of conversation is mentoring. So would love to hear your journeys in mentorship.
I love mentorship. I had a wonderful mentor coming up when I wanted to be in the union, and I said, oh my gosh, I have to get in this union. And what can I do? It took me a long time. It took me 10 years. And I kept on searching and searching. And I did find someone. She was the hardest person in the world, Laini Thompson, the hardest person in the world. But I got in, and I bugged the mess out of her. I was crazy.
What movie was it?
5 Heartbeats, baby.
Yes,
5 Heartbeats. And when I tell you, she took me through hell, but she was a good mentor. And so I believe in mentorship. I believe that if you can find someone good, you have to struggle through it. Get that mentorship, yes, because you'll learn the world that we're in. It's a world, man. It's the circus, and you have to understand it. If not, you'll go in, get beat up, and don't want to try. You don't want to do it because it's hard. Everybody thinks it's so glamorous. You're around here, this, that, and the other. This mess is hard, and I'm on my way out. So I'm down to mentor. I'm 67. I'm tired. And my knees are tired. My back
looking like
you
a
don't
teenager over there.
Look, the magic of being a Black person is just wild.
Black don't crack. So I'm just saying that if you can find someone good, then try and work with them. Try and listen and hold on. You have to hold on. And it's gonna be, it's rough. It is a rough journey. But if you're serious about it and you want it, you will suffer and you will get to it. You'll get what you need. You'll get it.
I think it's very important, this conversation here with the conversation about mentorship, because with me from on the outside looking in, one of the access with the people who control the industry, they mentor the next person to take the control. And I think where we've got people like yourselves who are very powerful, I think it's very important that you use that power to support the talents that's been hidden and been sort of have no access. So you may have to go and find those people and bring them in yourself.
Yeah.
No,
I think that's important.
Oh, definitely. I've brought in
recognizing-
quite a few people, and I try to help them. Some people are not worthy, and then some people are. So you just pick those. Yeah.
You have to,
Yeah.
That's how we can continue, because if we don't, then it dies with us. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
And
Definitely.
I think to answer the person's who is curious, like you have to look for mentorship in big and small places and big and small packages. They're not going to always mentor you from start to finish. You might have a little section in here where you got mentored. You might have a person who's not in the beauty industry that mentors you and gives you a pathway to another step. So, we can't be looking for the ultimate Ruth Carter to come in and mentor you. Maybe my assistant is a great mentor for you because she really understands what you need to get up to her level. And so there's like big and small areas that mentorship falls under. And that I think is the biggest misconception when people are looking for mentors. They want it all, they want it now, they want it yesterday, and it's not going to happen like that.
Exactly. It don't come like that. Yeah. They want it fast, quick, in a hurry. Yeah.
And every project,
And
every
this
project
industry
teaches you
breeds
something.
that. I have had a PA work for me and then had to leave because he was designing something. Not to say that they're not deserving, but sometimes that leap, from you spent 1 day or 2 days in a mentee situation, and then the next day you're out there designing something, but texting back to us, how do I do this? How do I do that? Which is an opportunity that I'm not here to dispel, but mentorship is a commitment too.
Oh, definitely.
And a journey, like you said, and a journey. What were you going to say,
Yeah.
Camille? I mean, I would love your perspective on this too, having a school. So you have a lot of kind of mentees in a sense. How has that worked for you?
This is what I hear from mentees. It's either, and I can tell, when I do classes, I can tell if they got it or they don't. And I always say, you have to decide a couple things. You have to decide you want this. I don't want to hear what you can't do. We can all do it. Sometimes you just need practice. We all have to practice. And this might be the first time you're doing something. And you have to have, it's the true will. And sometimes too, I'm going to throw in the spirituality. You have to reprogram your mind. You need to do your positive affirmations. You need to pray. You need to meditate. You need to get your mind right. Just because all of these things are part of the journey. And like, I'm always teaching, like, when people call me and they're all frantic, I said, that's the first thing we're going to do. We're going to breathe. So you're going to stop and you're going to breathe, because all of these things are part of the process and part of mentoring people, not only about how to do the hair and the makeup, but too, the spirituality, the food that you put in your body. Because if you put junk in your body all day long, you're not going to feel too good. You better drink your green juice in the morning like all of us do. I'm just saying, like, all of these things are all part of mentorship. And it's important. And all of us in our own ways, like, I know Lalette, I know so many people Lalette has helped get in the union. What Ruth does, what Matiki does, what Morris does. It's all a part of that equation. And to speak to that young person who wanted to know, I always say, Instagram is the best thing could have happened to you right now, because it gives you access. I have so many people that hit me up on Instagram and all these other places. Look at the movies that you like. If you like a movie, if you like a TV show, look who did the costumes, who did the hair, who did the makeup. And most of the time you can hit them up on Instagram and find them. And a lot of people, they won't answer you. So there is access to people. And like you said, you might not be coming to work on the movie with me. You're not going from over here to Black Panther 3. No, boo, let's slow it down. Show up to one of my classes, and if you can, are you going to shampoo some mannequin heads? Oh, I don't want to do that. Oh, well, no. You're not going from 0 to 100. Let's start right there, because I want to see if you're diligent enough to shampoo that mannequin head properly and get all the shampoo out of it. See, and following the steps. It's steps.
True.
And I'm going to say, I want to give a shout out to Robert Stevenson, was one of my mentors, Irma Kent. And those are the kind of people Robert would bring that mannequin in. We had to curl 100 times. But guess what? I'm a badass curler, because Robert Stevenson was like, you're going to get every curl right. So it's practice, practice, practice.
Yes. True.
Was there anyone else? Did you want to say something else, Lilette? I saw you jump in, or Matiki.
I'm good.
I just wanted to say that I don't know about LA, but at least in New York, there was such very, very few barbers, because for many reasons, productions would just want them to come in, cut the black hair that the white hairdressers couldn't cut, and then leave. So I've been really, really fighting to get the
Barbers on.
into the union, but also for them to be totally unionized, get their days, get their pension and welfare, and not on the voucher. Before it was just like a voucher system. So I got in 2, and I think one more is getting ready to get in. And one wrote me a beautiful letter the other day, just saying that it took him 7 years, but it just my help.
Yeah, I just put my brother's in now, Brett Mayo, he's in the union. And he first said, all I want to do is come in, cut, leave. I said, why? You're not grasping everything you need from the union. You got to sit down. And I want you also to learn how to put on wigs, how to, I want you to learn all of it, not just one thing, so you can be utilized in that trailer and people will want you there. Nobody wants to see anybody run in, run out and everything, and not hold down what they were supposed to be doing. So he's definitely doing all of it now. And Robert Stevenson showed him how to put on the wig, laid that lace front wig, and he's good now. So
who was that guy we had on Wakanda Forever, Camille? He was a genius.
Oh, which one? Well, like Victor Paz is one of them. Victor is, and I trained up Victor. Victor's been with me since Hunger Games. And let me tell you something. Now in Atlanta, he gets hired on so many projects because he is a triple threat. Yes, he's a great barber, but he can put on a wig, he can braid, he can do a ponytail, and he's that guy. So, you know, when you bring in, and what I always say this, what people don't think about and barbers don't think about, you need to be multifaceted, because when we're doing our manpower, and we can bring in, we can only bring in 3 people. If we have 50 people to do, and you could only do 5, you got to look at the number. So if you come in as a barber and you can do all these things, you will work all the time. So be multifaceted.
I just
go ahead.
Camille. Camille was the first woman that I ever saw barber a black man. All these guys on 8 Mile were all nervous, because remember you had that crazy ass barber, excuse my language, photos with everybody, and Camille said, nah, he's got to go. And I remember, I won't mention the actor, he sat in the chair and he was like, you're gonna cut my hair? She was like, yep, I'm gonna cut your hair. She barbered this black man's, and he was like, oh my God. So just to let the skill set, you know, and this was 20 odd years ago, the skill set. So whatever she's achieved up until now, the legacy goes back, the work was put in. So I was like, wow, I have never seen a sister. There's sister barbers now, but Camille was the first one that I saw. And these brothers, you know how brothers are in their damn place, away. They were like, oh,
I see you laughing, Morris. That's real. That's real. Brothers are they're sensitive about that hairline. You got to get ready.
And I pick up things 100%. From hair.
Yeah, of course. It's it's the same way. A woman would feel as if a man is putting on a weave. Although you've got some really strong and strategic talents with men, but there are some really, really gifted women in the barbering world. I started as a barber, cutting all types of hair. So it was easy for me to understand.
Not back in the day, there wasn't.
There wasn't. We didn't have no SOS call the barber. You better get in there and get busy. And I mean, like me and Matiki, we worked on, I'm gonna give it to him. We worked on 8 Mile. And there was so many things that happened during 8 Mile. Me and Matiki were out there in the freezing cold, honey, every night, getting it done. You know, that's I mean, we came cut from that cloth It wasn't easy, but we're here. And like, that's why we love talking about this and love helping people, because we know the real, we know what it really is.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Since we're throwing out names of movies and projects you guys have worked on, I would love to just hear if there was any one particular project. I know you've worked on so many and I know it's so hard, but is there any that stand out to you as like life-changing moments, or moments that you'll always really, really hold dear in your heart because they helped transition your career in a certain way? There might be some obvious ones, but there might be some unobvious ones. So I would love to hear that from everyone.
I have two movies that I feel that were changing for my career. And one was Ray, because that was my first time dealing with prosthetics. And I lied. I lied and said that I could do prosthetics, but it wasn't so much of a lie. It was sort of like, I can do anything. If I'm taught to do that, I have to practice whatever it takes, I can do it. So I said, yes, I can do prosthetics. So I did the prosthetics for the eyes on Ray Charles, for Jamie Foxx, for him playing Ray. And then also when I did the movie, The Book of Negroes, I had to venture into the hair world, which was insane, but I had to do it because the actress was having a horrible time in South Africa. And the white woman was telling me, Lalette, this is not a hair show. So she said, this is not a glamorous hair show. And I said, so what do you think it is? And I said, because our African women were very proud women. They love beauty. Why are you just putting her in these horrible hairstyles? And she's not accepting it. And everyone's saying, oh, this looks good or whatever, because she's supposed to be a slave. I said, no, we have to get in to her hair and provide her with different styles, come out of one style, go into another style flawlessly without stopping, with timing and everything. And I did it. So I was very proud of myself and jumping into that world, because I was scared to death of hair.
I have to say, one of my movies that I always will remember is Ray. And I'm just going to take it back a little bit. Jamie Foxx gave me my first department head job. We went and did a awful movie in Regina, in Canada, but he gave me an opportunity to do that. And after that, he was like, I'm going to do this movie, Ray. Now, I didn't have the credits. I wasn't department head. Joanne Stafford Cheney was. But the opportunity to go on Ray, and we got to do, like, Lalette and I did so many things that we never had done before. I remember Lalette, honey, she got them eyes down, baby. They was flawless. They were flawless. Like, she did that. Like, I remember, and we had, our director, oh God, Taylor Hackford. Like, his bar is up here. He's excellent.
Oh,
so
yes.
when we were doing things, guys, he was standing right here. When we were changing Jamie's hairline, he was standing. He goes, I want this hair out. I want this out. Like, you want to get under pressure, have Taylor Hackford on you with his red shirt standing right here. But all of these things are like what developed us. And, as we went along the journey, like, I know when I did Dreamgirls, I shouldn't have had Dreamgirls. I didn't have the resume. That was God who put me in that position. But I knew I had to stand up, and the confidence. And, every movie and all these experiences teach you something. I couldn't have went from like Dreamgirls to Black Panther, because there was all those movies in between that taught me all those lessons. And then we get to Black Panther, but Black Panther led me to Little Mermaid, where Little Mermaid, I got an opportunity to take a Black young woman and change her locks and make her into a mermaid and reimagine it. If for people who like it or don't like it, I don't really care. I know what I did, and I know what we did for her to give her that confidence to go on camera and be that angelic angel that she is, with the beautiful voice, So I think every movie leads you, and we all get to have these amazing opportunities and travel the world. That's what's so beautiful about what we do.
Definitely.
I love it. What about you, Ruth, Tiki? Any projects that are like
that. And there's the obvious, but then there's the not so obvious things that changed me as I came along. And I think it was Jungle Fever, because we had Phyllis Stickney, we had Tyra
Yeah.
Farrow, Chocolate Sisters that were representing, you know, beauty. We had Lynette McKee and Halle Berry. We had skin tones, we had textures, and we all knew that this was an opportunity to show us in all of those facets of who we are. And that experience solidified what I was doing in this industry and why I was there. And that was to keep that voice going. So it made sense once I got to Black Panther that I was chosen to represent our community, and that I was, you know, amongst people who didn't know which direction to go in. So I was there to direct and lead. But if I hadn't done movies like Malcolm X and Jungle Fever and, you know, The Five Heartbeats, I feel like the strength of that, on the strength of that, I was able to lead.
Amazing. Matiki and Morris, any projects you want to shout out that were life-changing?
I think probably Mo Better. Mo Blues, only because that's where I met Denzel. And although I didn't work with him for quite some time, he never forgot me. And then when he started directing, I got to design quite a few of the movies that he directed. So I'd have to say that.
Mo
Amazing.
Better Blues.
And Morris?
Mo Better.
Well, for me,
I
it
love
was
that movie.
Witcher. When I sort of had to transform Lenny Henry into this sort of crazy, demonic, controlling freak, knowing that he was not that kind of person, and having to sort of install the locks as opposed to putting the wig on. It was, and his hair was quite short. And the size of the locks, it needed 0.6, but I really wanted to put a 0.4 in because of the thinness of the hair. For me, it was having the understanding of patience, coming from my industry, going into the movie industry, or the TV industry, or the film industry, and understanding the way it works there, and later on having to sort of work with the wig, mimicking the extensions that was installed. So that was changing. That was life changing for me. There are a really, really huge project that sort of followed on, but that's for the next conversation.
For sure. And that is a great way to wrap this up. Thank you all so much. This was amazing. Matiki, Ruth, Lalette, Camille, Morris, I am honored that I got to have this conversation with y'all, and I hope everyone that was watching really got something out of it, because I know I did. So thank you so much. Thanks to BAFTA. Thank you, Gil. Gil, did you want to say something?
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you, everyone. You were absolutely fantastic. This is, of course, a part of a continuing conversation between AAFCA and BAFTA to better understand the various crafts and professions within our industry, and to also understand how the various environments that exist for professionals of color on both sides of the pond. It's going to culminate this year with a weekend-long series of conversations in London during their Black History Month. And so if you guys are in London in October, we'd certainly love to continue this dialogue. If not, we definitely have room for more conversation, and certainly, you know, we'll be reaching out again to continue with part 2 at some point. Love you all. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
Guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Bye.